Is the crypto bull market over? Every single day, I look at the comment section, I see people asking me this question. And personally, I believe that since Bitcoin's dominance is still increasing, it's had some dips, but the trend is basically upwards, that the real bull market, in the way that a lot of you guys see it, has not even started yet. So what I mean with that is that right now, yes, we are seeing some crashes, and I've shown you time and time again the chart that showcases how a run looks. 3 years of up, 1 year of down, and minus 80%. 3 years of up, 1 year of down, 3 years of up, and 1 year of down. That's what I personally consider to be the bull market, which started back in November of 2022. There's a caveat though, and the one thing that most people don't realize is that within this 3-year period of up, which basically started in November 2022. Well, only a very short amount of that is the actual altcoin season, where all these altcoins go absolutely crazy, and where every single day you wake up, you see almost all of these coins plus 40%, plus 80%, etc. Just the crazy numbers. Now, I've been looking at a lot of charts, and one of the ones I think is most important is actually not a crypto one at all. It's the one that shows you where people give up, where the majority of the pain lies, and it's kind of a beautiful construction. Let me explain. So this is not something that's really measurable, at least I think it's very hard to get or to interpret the data on that properly, but I think it's something that any single person can understand pretty simply by just listening to what I've got to say. Let's say you've got a race towards the top, right? It doesn't look like a straight line, or even with some small indents. For the most part, it's going to be a pretty quick ways up. Interesting dip of sorts. You can kind of see it as a little valley on the way towards the top to go up the mountain. Before you reach about, let's say, the halfway point or so, there's a valley. It's filled with water. That's where most people have their pain. That's where most people give up. And the thing is, if you're able to swim through that for a little bit, you're able to go through that little valley, the mountain will continue. That's where you find your gold. That's where you find everything you've wished for and were waiting for. That's peak bull market. The hardest point is, for the most part, just before it happens. And what I say with that is because if you think about it, just before the crazy gains happen, for the most part, there's either a period of silence or of downside. It has to be either of the two, because the moment that things start going crazy, they're going crazy. So what happens before that point? You could say, oh, it just goes good but medium. Well, for the most part in a bull market, the moment it starts breaking out and going crazy, like we saw back when Bitcoin hit its all-time high again and went to 74K, that's when altcoins start to flourish and go crazy, right? That's where AI coins had a crazy come up time. And it was only when Bitcoin stopped breaking that all-time high, when things stopped going crazy, that every altcoin basically, and a lot of these AI coins started to fall by 80% again. It's because the conviction was not there. And that's what I call that little dip of sorts, where right now people are uncertain. They're not sure if the bull market's over or barely starting. I've got a good idea, but I understand the thoughts. And I've been seeing it everywhere in the comment section, and every single day I do. Anyway, but that's the hardest point that we're in, I think. And now before I show you a couple of pictures to kind of make this all clear, please take a look at this. It's gonna be one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. All right, and now take a look at this. Blank just posted, people calling for the end of the bull market while Bitcoin's dominance is only up. Kobe is probably right, it hasn't even started yet. If you really start looking at this chart, are we really doing that crazy right now? I mean, an altcoin season is where the Bitcoin dominance starts slashing like crazy. And a couple of months ago, it was indeed kind of looking like that was happening. If you take a look at slightly around April, for example, or perhaps the beginning of 2024 and slightly before that. But if we're taking a look at it from this perspective now, the weekly perspective, we've zoomed out and we're looking at how things have performed since 2023. You know, since basically since the bull market started up to now, it's only been up and up and up. And even though altcoins did have a few month period where they really were performing quite nicely, it's still kind of nothing in comparison to what we usually see in an altcoin season. And that's, again, why I believe the real gains haven't even come just quite yet. But also, if we take a look at this is that a beautiful picture that I was talking about earlier. I was able to find exactly what I was looking for. On the bottom, we've got time. On the Y, we've got ourselves progress. It's called the Valley of Disappointment. And it basically shows that most people give up, usually where, I guess on the one side, you can kind of say that this is where you end up in that pit forever. But if you keep continuing on, right, with enough time, you keep continuing on and give it a little bit more time, you can see how the progress, even though it kind of looks backwards for a little bit, is the Valley of Disappointment. And if you're able to pass through it, given a little bit more time, that's where usually the craziest of the gains lie. And I want to combine it with this one. I know the quality is not too amazing, but I just want to quickly make clear that every single run, it kind of looks bad or annoying or kind of like boring. A boring consolidation zone is what we've dubbed it in previous cycles, where again, a lot of people give up. A lot of people think, they save for me, or it's not worth it, or it's already over, this, that. But once more, combine the three things I've just shown you here. Combine the fact that right now Bitcoin's dominance is still going up, and that basically means that out of the entire crypto market, Bitcoin makes up, in this case here, 57.5%. And in peak bull market, we expect this number to be like what, 30 or so? Perhaps this run even less. Then again, I kind of believe this run, it might stay slightly higher because the ETF interest is primarily Bitcoin, and they're the ones that are going to be holding the hardest, I believe. But again, another part of that is because usually at some point the miners start, we'll talk about that a different day. I wanted to say how there's a big shift that happens where again, it goes from Bitcoin to Ethereum to bigger altcoins to smaller altcoins, etc., etc. That's usually the bull market shift. And since it really hasn't happened too much yet, I don't even think we can consider this to be peak altcoin season at all. And once more, all we need is a little bit more of waiting. To continue on with the Bitcoin cycles, are you understanding what I'm saying here? History doesn't have to repeat itself, but this is the way the crypto has gone every single time that we've had a run of sorts. And you can tell me a lot of things. You can tell me it's going to take more time. It's going to be slightly different. I'll accept all of those. But two things, in my opinion, are certain. One of which being that this run is going to be as crazy, if not crazier than previous ones. And the second, there's even more. I wanted to say a second one is the fact that I think this might be the last pure crypto bull run. I mean, right now people are not valuing crypto for how beautiful or how proper it is. But I think if this run lasts another year and a half or so, then 1 year of bear market, then the next run has to start. By the time we're at the peak of it, the institutions will have joined the game en masse. And I think some of the crazier gains that we're seeing right now will be played out because so many big guys have joined. That won't mean that you can't make crazy gains over time. I think it will still outperform the stock market as it's a better gold. But I think some of the plays we're seeing right now, for example, with meme coins, it's already dying. Like meme coins are at the final edge because of pump.fund, etc., where thousands of meme coins are coming every single day now. Where before it was kind of cool and unique, right now it's so many every single day that it's starting to become a bit of a, you're not buying a meme coin as much anymore because there's too many to focus on, right? There's just too many. And with other cryptos, it's going to be kind of similar where maybe altcoin season is going to look slightly different, etc., etc. But I believe Bitcoin's course is still going to remain, at least for the most part, quite similar. And I believe that, like we saw with XRP previous season, even if you hate it, a 20x on many of the altcoins, I think, is very, very low. Like the base tier for what I really wish to see in this bull market, a 20x is very, very low for most of these coins. And for Bitcoin as well, if we've not crossed $100,000, this bull run has not ended. And that's my final conclusion to it all. If we're not above $100,000, the bull run is still ongoing. If Bitcoin's dominance is not falling like a freaking maniac, and everybody thinks this crypto run is never going to be over, then we're not at the end of it. Let me remind you, if people are saying it's over, it's definitely not over. If everybody is saying that this time is going to be different and we're going to continue up forever, that's when it's probably over. If you hear your grandma, your other sister, you're talking about buying a new dog coin because they want to become billionaires in 3 weeks, that's when it's probably over. Right now, most people I speak to about crypto don't want to have anything to do with it, so we're not at the peak. We're not even close to it at all.